Hello and welcome to our guide for Malkorok, the 9th boss in the Siege of Orgrimmar. This is a two-phase fight where the two phases continue to alternate in a cycle. They are called the Might of the Korkron phase, which is basically the main phase of the fight, and the Blood Rage phase, which only lasts a short amount of time. The fight also has a very strict 6-minute enrage timer. During the Might of the Korkron phase, everyone in the raid has a debuff called Ancient Miasma. This causes all healing done to raid members to be absorbed, creating shields on players instead of healing them. The shields cap at 100% of the player's maximum health. At the same time, Ancient Miasma deals raid-wide shadow damage every 2 seconds to all raid members. The consequence of this debuff is that healers cannot effectively heal anyone, and they should instead strive to maintain maximum capacity shields on all raid members at all times. In addition to Ancient Miasma and the damage it deals, you must also contend with Malkorok's abilities. He casts Fatal Strike on his current target, which increases the damage that this player takes by 10% per stack. This requires a tank switch. He regularly uses Seismic Slam, dealing damage in a 5-yard area around a random player, knocking all affected players up into the air. This ability requires your raid members to be spread out. Imploding Energy creates a number of purple void zones, 3 in 10-man and 7 in 25-man, in random locations on the platform. A few seconds later, anyone standing in one of these void zones takes high damage, but every void zone that does not damage at least one player deals massive raid-wide damage instead. It is therefore imperative that one player soaks each void zone every time they spawn. It is best if players who are at full health and who have maximum capacity shields do the soaking, but this may not always be possible and you will need to improvise. Malkorok has 2 more abilities during this phase. He casts Arching Smash, which deals damage in random areas on the ground 3 times in relatively slow succession. Each time the boss targets a different area. A short while after that, the boss will cast Breath of Isharge, dealing a lethal amount of damage to anyone standing in one of the 3 locations previously hit by Arching Smash. To handle Arching Smash, players just have to move out of the obvious ground effects. To handle Breath of Isharge, we advise you to designate a player to place a raid marker in each of the 3 Arching Smash locations, so that all raid members know which areas of the floor are unsafe when Breath of Isharge is cast. The Might of the Korkron phase lasts 2 minutes, after which the boss enters the very intense Blood Rage phase for 20 seconds. During this phase, the Ancient Miasma is gone from the room, and Malkorok's melee attacks deal massive damage split among targets in a cone in front of him. The entire raid should stack in front of Malkorok, and your healers should use defensive cooldowns to mitigate the raid damage. Malkorok uses one other ability during this phase, which is called Displaced Energy. This is a 9-second shadow damage dot that is cast on random raid members. When it expires or is dispelled, the dot deals massive shadow damage in an 8-yard radius, but it does not damage players already affected by Displaced Energy. Basically, players who are affected by Displaced Energy need to move out of the raid immediately and wait there until they are dispelled or until the dot expires. While you can dispel these players early, there is no real need to do so, and you can just wait for the dot to expire on its own. Whenever Malkorok exits the Blood Rage phase, he gains a stack of a buff called Relentless Assault that increases his damage done by 25% until the end of the fight. As you can tell, the strategy for this fight is not complicated, but the execution can be difficult. In the Might of the Korkron phases, players have to be quick to move into imploding energy void zones to soak them, and out of areas affected by Arching Smash and Breath of Isharge. In addition to this, healers will have a pretty rough time during this phase. In the Blood Rage phases, just stack up and make sure that players affected by Displaced Energy move out right away. You should use Heroism or Bloodlust right at the start of the fight. For a more detailed and constantly updated written version of this guide, go to the link in the description. Thank you for watching.